there's water in the pitcher, and we both need a drink to stay alive, my darling. I need less water than you think. My love, these things I swear I say are true. And all I'm really saying is be as good to me as I am to you. Oh yeah. Listen to this. Some people won't, but they don't wanna give. They can do all of the wrong in the world and got the nerve to not understand the meaning of living. Starting the day, tomorrow and forevermore. If you can't find it in your heart to do for me, then baby, just don't darken my front door. Baby, I want you to be as good to me as I am to you. Baby, I don't think that's asking you too much to do. Listen, don't you walk around here feeling like you can treat me any old way. Using my love, my time, my heart, day after day. Oh, baby, be as good to me as I am to you.
Okay, so we are back and we are going to begin to dive into the child custody and support case that was filed against IO. And before we get into it, I just want to reiterate that I want everybody to understand this is a lot. So you might listen like, oh my God, this is a lot. But it's a lot of content for us to cover. You know, a lot happened. And we have been silent about each and every part that's been happening. And so we're trying to cover all the bases to give you all the information that we can share. But we're not looking to come out, to your events and be on your panels and be on your interviews and your blog talk shows. None of that. We don't want none of that. This is it. So with that, we putting all cards on the table. Everything is being laid out. So it would be in your best interest, if you can, to listen to every video of this this channel that we're going to put out. They're all they all will be there for you to see and to hear, so you get the full breadth of everything. We're going to be covering a lot, and we've got some more to talk about. So definitely stay tuned. Child custody and child support. Why did I file for custody? Why did you take him to the white man? Right? First of all, this is what I need y'all to do. Because I think there's a misunderstanding about where we live and the demographics of where we live. So what I mean by that is I want everybody to go and Google Prince George's County, Maryland. Prince George's County, Maryland, you'll find, is one of the wealthiest counties, the wealthiest predominantly black counties in the entire country. It's like in the top 10. With that being said, that's why incomes are so high. I know for some of you, you might live in a rural area where, you hear somebody makes $130,000 or, $100,000. That sounds like they're rich. But you have to take into consideration where do they live? For example, and something you can Google as well. A recent study was just done at the D.C. area, which is basically across the street. You literally walk across the street, D.C. from Prince George's County. And they said that in D.C., in order to be happy, and they put parameters around what's happy, basically they were just saying in order to live comfortably in D.C. and not have to want for anything or be strained, you have to make $187,000 a year. That's just to give you an understanding of the cost of living. And we're talking about crossing the street to Prince George's County, which is a stone's throw away. It's not going to go down that much just because you cross the street. The cost of living is all the same. Gas is much more expensive here. Groceries are more expensive here. Mortgages are higher here. Rent is higher here. Anything you could think of. It's more expensive than maybe a Kansas City or Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or even Orlando, Florida. Okay, the next place you may find these types of prices, maybe New York City, but I've worked in New York City and I know that you can get by decently with not making six figures. Here, that's very hard. So when you hear that amount, please don't think, oh, she's making all this money and she's decided to take him to court. You don't understand where we live and the cost of living here. Okay? Prime example, my mom sold a house in New Jersey, just a quick example, and she sold it for, let's say, it was like $170,000. The same exact house for sale here, the same builder, was $400,000. Same builder. Didn't even have the upgrades that my mom's house had in New Jersey. Difference of cost of living. It's very simple, and I need people to understand that. So child custody. While Io and I were going through this whole thing, it was difficult because I had started this new job. And again, I started the new job because I was trying to take care of him. That's the part he keeps leaving out. He is not telling you. I was taking care of him and the entire family. He didn't have to worry about anything. But I started this new job and I was no longer working from home. I had to go in the office. So I needed somebody to watch the children. So what I would do is every day that summer, I would drop the children off at his house in the morning and I would pick them up at his house in the evening. When I say pick them up, I did not go into his home. I did not go up to his door and ring the doorbell. I pulled up at the curb, waited in my vehicle. I had my mother on the line with me at the time. She would stay on the phone until I dropped them off and until I was well on my way away from the house. And then at that time, I would go to work, and then on the weekends, the children, they stayed with me. And also, and I think we didn't cover this part. I had also moved out. I think with the first part, we didn't get a chance to cover that. I moved out. As I said, that after everything happened with that night when I left after he threatened me and held me in that room against my will, I decided I wasn't coming back. I literally went back to the house one weekend when he was away on a speaking engagement, and I grabbed as much clothes as I could, much things like basically the basics. I left all of my furniture. I left all of my pots, pans, knives, forks, glasses, mugs, everything. All I grabbed was clothes for me, my children, and ourselves, and a couple sentimental items, that I had. But outside of that, that was it. There was no U-Haul that pulled up and loaded everything out of the house. For me, it was very important to leave as much as I could the same for my children, so that when they came back to that house, they would see the pictures in the same place. They see the furniture in the same place. Mommy might not be there, but everything else would be the same. So I didn't take beds. I didn't take anything. I had to start from scratch. Okay? I had to start from nothing. And understand, the majority of things I put in that house, even though that house was in his name, I did. I went and I paid for all new windows to be put in that house. I rehabbed that kitchen with my bare hands. Listen to me, my bare hands. I rehabbed that kitchen. I got contractors to come in and help do the things I couldn't do, like wiring and electrical and plumbing and things like that. But my bare hands, I'm constructing and laying out this kitchen. My dream kitchen. Left it right there. I bought a brand new refrigerator, brand new stove cooktop. Brand new sectional, leather sectional downstairs. All that stuff I left. Beds in the children's room, left. Walked away from. Who does that? Who does that if there's not something wrong? And I'm not talking, this wasn't a plan. This is something I had to do just at the snap of a finger. I had to make a change. There was no going back for me. So in that, I had to go start looking for an apartment. I haven't had to live in an apartment, I don't know when. I haven't had to live in an apartment in years. Even before I met Io, I had my own home. Now I got to go find an apartment in a place. I'm not very familiar with this area. Even though was living here with him, I didn't really know the area. I don't know where to find apartments and where's the best area. I'm out one weekend looking with me and my children. They're asking, why are we looking at these apartments? I was able to find, there were things I was looking for. I wanted security. I need to know I'm safe. I need to know that I'm safe. So I stumbled upon a place that was gated and had 24-hour security. And that made me feel good. I stopped. I didn't have to look any further. I was accepted. Literally everything. Listen to me. Tazara and I have this talk where we say, because her mother went through some things. I hope you don't mind if I share that, right? Her mother went through some things that she saw growing up between her mother and her father. And Tazara and I like to say that her mother and my father met in the ancestral realm, and my grandmother. And they said, this is not about to go down. Because there's a reason why she and her husband were the ones that I was able to reach out to. There's a reason why she and her husband were the ones who stood by me through this. Above and beyond anybody else. So, with that, ancestors were walking with me as I was going out looking to find a place. The very day I put in the application, the next day they called me and said I was approved. I went and got furniture, was able to get a whole, apartment full of furniture going into one store. They gave me a great deal. Was able to deliver it before I even, the day I moved in, they were able to have my furniture there. All the things just fell in perfect order.
Worked out.
Perfect order.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend, I told you when I went to her house that night, she said, you can stay here. They were going on, her whole family, they were going on vacation to Florida. She gave me the keys. And my children and I were staying in that apartment while she was gone. That's where I stayed. And then I tried to leave to go back. When she came back from vacation, she invited us to continue to stay there. But I didn't want I don't want my children to stay in there because he doesn't like Keisha. He doesn't like her mother. Right? So so I was, and me still being here's the thing, because I've come a long way, family. I've come a long way, and I look back at this, and it still blows my mind. Even though I went through all that, even though I had left, I still was being a submissive wife. My husband said he doesn't want my children to stay in this house with Keisha and her mom. I'll find somewhere else to stay. So I told him, but here's what I said. And my mother was on the phone. Let me back up. I never ever again spoke to Io. After that night, I never ever spoke to him again without my mother on the phone. And then from there, we had one conversation. After that, I only text him. I never talked to him. And when I text him, my mom has been on every single text since that day. I've never spoken to him in person. I've never spoken to him on the phone by myself. That's not indicative of somebody who is okay and they're not in fear. I was in fear for my safety. I want everybody to hear how he talks to me, because he's going to, when someone else is in the conversation, he changes. This is why people can say, I never heard him speak to her. That you're not supposed to. When somebody's in an abusive situation, you're not supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Inside, outside.
You're not supposed to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was on conversations. I got the apartment. Let me just fast forward. So I got the apartment, and I'm dropping them off to him every day. Then we had a situation around Straight Black Love Weekend. Okay? I didn't even know that this was going on. I'm busy trying to start a new life. I'm trying to make sure we safe. I'm not on Facebook. Since 2017 got off Facebook. I'm not on any email list. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I'm not in tune with that. So he asked to have the children for the weekend, or for that Saturday. I dropped them off, and that was great for me because I had to get all the movers not the movers, the furniture company to drop off the furniture that day, and I was moving into my apartment. Oh no, I'm sorry, I lost track. I'm sorry. Let me back up. When he didn't want the children to stay in Keisha's house for that second week, that's when I had to go get a hotel. And he was adamant that he didn't want our children to stay in any kind of hotel. So I'm the type of person, I don't stay in any kind of hotel. I don't stay in motels, that kind of. I'm not a bougie thing. It's just a safety thing, and a cleanliness thing. I don't do it anyway. But he was very specific. What kind of hotel were you going to keep them at? My mom was like, well, and I said, well, wait a minute. I got a solution for that. Why don't you keep the children while I look for a place? I'll just stay in a hotel. Well, I don't understand what you got. Why don't you just stay downstairs? Stay here. I'll stay downstairs. I'm like, I'm not coming back to that house. And he kept being adamant, I'm not coming back to that house. I'll just stay downstairs and you can live upstairs. No. I said, because I know. And he's saying stuff to my mom, or my mother-in-law. My mom's like, she's not coming back to that house. No, but she can come back. And I said, I'm not paying your mortgage. Because I knew that's what I'm not asking you to pay my mortgage. I said, I'm not paying your mortgage. Because I knew what he really needed. I need you. When he, after the ish, as they say, hit the fan, he realized I was making the decision to leave. How's he going to pay for that roof over his head? So now it becomes you stay downstairs and you can still pay the mortgage. But we just don't have a relationship. No, that's not going to work. So I got a hotel and I spent over $1,000. I'm still under his control. It took me a long time. I'm still listening. I'm $1,000 to stay in a hotel. Didn't tell him where I was staying. Okay? He didn't know where I was staying. But he had my children all day. And one day as we come back home from the hotel, I find out from my children, oh, Mommy, Daddy brought us here. We got cookies. Because the hotel, doesn't matter now, it was Doubletree. And anybody who's been to Doubletree knows they give you warm cookies. And you go with the, in the lobby. I was terrified. Why would he come? It was a sign for me to know that he knew where I was at. I know him. Now I'm terrified. Now I'm looking over my shoulder. I got to get out of here. So that's when I found the apartment. That next weekend, so literally it was only 2 weeks out from me leaving that house, I was able to get my own place and then move in. And so that was that story. But back to getting close while I filed custody. A lot of things were happening. While I was at the hotel, for example, we had a situation involving shoes. And this is a story y'all heard. And it's very interesting how it was told. It was told that I bought Kihora female shoes. But he didn't tell you about how he told our daughter I bought her hooker shoes. Our daughter is 7 years old. And he told her, Mommy bought you hooker shoes. How do I know this? Because we came back to the hotel one day. What happened was we left. It was in the summertime. When I left the house, I didn't have sandals for them. Like I said, we grabbed what we could, and it was hot. So I said, oh my God, I got to get something that's too hot for them to be wearing these, hot sneakers. And I'll go to Payless. I just went to Payless. And a lot was going on. So their children, I said, y'all pick out what you want, just to kind of keep their mind off of things. My daughter picked out a cute little pair of jelly sandals. Any black woman knows what I'm talking about when I say jelly sandals. And we'll show some images. Jelly sandals. She picked them out. My son, he picked out some little Spider-Man sandals. That's it. Okay, that'll work. They're cool enough. We're good. We're done. Leave the store. They wore these sandals to his house. The first day they wore the sandals to his house, he told my daughter they were hooker shoes, and he took them. So what happened was I didn't realize she didn't have the shoes on until we got back to the hotel. And we're in the hotel room telling them, take off shoes. We're getting ready to get washed up for bed. And I looked down, I'm saying, where's your shoes? She had on sneakers. And she said, oh, Daddy took them. He threw them in the trash. She said, they're hooker shoes. I almost burst out in tears. But mind you, I don't cry in front of my children because I'm trying to hold it together for them. I had to go in the bathroom and collect myself. Because I wasn't about to ask my 7-year-old, no, she wasn't 7. Yeah, she was 7. I wasn't about to ask my 7-year-old daughter if she knew what a hooker was. And I couldn't believe he would tell her that. So that was the first thing. Then we turned around and my son said, yeah, and Daddy said, those sandals you bought me are girl sandals and I shouldn't wear them. Huh? Since when are Spider-Man sandals girl sandals? I mean, they got a huge Spider-Man on. It's not even like, there's no like maybe there's a Spider-Man word on the side. You can bet it's a Spider-Man emblem. They're blue sandals, blue and red sandals. They're boy sandals. They're in the boy section. They're boy sandals. But he convinced my son they were girl sandals, and my son would never put the sandals on again. I gave him to again. I didn't make him wear them. I said, "You're gonna wear these sandals. Nothing wrong with them." And he said, "Daddy said I can't wear them." He never would put them on again. And for the whole summer, I had problems with buying my children shoes because they would say, "Oh no, man," my son would say, "Oh, those are girl sandals. I can't wear those." He convinced my son. One time we were at the hotel and I took them to the pool. Again, trying to keep their mind off of things. My son got sick the next day. I'm a parent. I'm a mother. I knew what it was right away. When we were in the pool, he had swallowed water. Okay, and choked a little bit. And I said, "You got the pool chlorine, all that in your stomach, and you got an upset tummy." He started vomiting like the next day. I said, "You just thrown it. You're going to be okay." When he went to his father's house and he was sick, his father told him, "Your mother is feeding you bad food." I don't feed anybody who knows me. I don't feed my children bad. I don't feed them bad food.
What does he feed them?
I don't feed them bad food. Even though we were in a hotel, I took them to good restaurants where they get healthy meals, black-owned restaurants, at that, so they can have good food. And I'm like, what? So I had to convince my children they had to go to the doctor, and that was a whole other thing we don't have time to go into. But he took them to the doctor. And the doctor had to tell them, she asked, as doctors do, they ask the questions, what happened, what have you been doing? Have you been swimming lately? Yes. Were you in the pool? Did you happen to swallow any water? Oh, yeah, I swallowed water. Well, you have a stomach virus. Children are in here every 2 minutes because of that. That happens. You're going to get sick, so if it just takes 24 hours or so, it's going to go away. How do I know this? Because even he told me that's what the doctor said. My children said to me, that's what the doctor said. But you know what? Because it was already ingrained in their head that Daddy said you gave us bad food, every time we went out to eat, "Oh, Mom, make sure you give us some good food. Remember that time I got sick, Mommy, because you gave us bad food?" This went on for like 6 months. "Mommy, remember that time I got sick?" And I have to always, "You were there. The doctor told you why you got sick." But they believed him because why? Just like you, those who are listening, believed him. He's very convincing. It doesn't matter what somebody else says. The truth could be told to you by another person 10 times. He can convince you of a lie 1,000 times. So they believed him. So that was that. Then you move forward. Now we have this situation where I'm moving into the apartment. It's the weekend of Black Love Day, and I don't even know it. All I know is I'm supposed to pick up the children on Sunday. He was going to stay with him Saturday. Sunday, I'm supposed to pick up the children. I'm there. I'm texting him. I'm all ready to pick them up. I can pick up the children at 7 o'clock. Let me know if that's okay. No response. I waited another hour. Is everything okay? You're going to be... No response. This went on for 4 hours. I got no response. Now I'm in panic mode. Because up to that point, he had been responsive when he had the children. I don't know what's going on. Excuse me. I said, "Mom, I don't know what to do. I'm nervous because all the stuff that's going on with me. Now I'm wondering, has he done something to my children? I don't know. I'm in panic mode as a parent. 4 hours. He had never gone 4 hours without contacting me about the children. So now, I said, Mom, my mom, of course, call the police. But I'm a black woman. We don't call the cops. I'm African American. We don't call the police. So I didn't. I said, Mom, if he doesn't call me back by 9 o'clock, I'll go to his house and I'll go see what's going on. Didn't get a call. So I went there. I'm sitting outside and I waited down the street because I wanted to, I saw lights on in the house, but he wasn't answering the phone. So I said, I'm going to wait. Maybe he's really not here. Sure enough, he drives by and he opens the garage door and he backs his car into the garage. So I slowly pulled up in front of the garage, in the front of the driveway, I should say. Now I'm parked in the driveway. He's texting me, the garage door open, looking at me. He's saying, what are you doing here? I'm here to pick up the children. He said, they're staying with me. You can get them tomorrow. I said, no, that wasn't the original. I'm supposed to pick them. No, I told you that they were going to be staying with me. So you never told me they were staying with you. Well, you can come get them tomorrow. So I said, could you please send my children out? Next thing you know, I see the door open, the back door. The children get out the car, and I see my children standing there. They're looking at me. I'm looking at them. I'm thinking, okay, he's going to send them out. The garage door closes on my face. The garage door closes on my face. He closed the garage on my face and texted me back and said, you can get them tomorrow. With my children standing there watching me, he closed the garage. I was terrified. Oh, and let me back up. Before that, I had texted Conrad of Straight Black Pride and called him, left a voice message. Have you seen ILE? I need to know, because I didn't know, maybe they heard from him. Have you seen him? Do you know where he is? Nobody responded. To this day, never responded to text or voicemail. I called, after he closed the door on my face, I called his brother and said, your brother is, and I had, up to that point, I hadn't told him about nothing. I started explaining everything, and this is what's going on, and he just closed the garage door on me. I don't know what to do, and then, oh, sis, I'm so sorry, I don't know, da-da-da-da-da, and I'm like, okay, so then next thing, when I'm talking to his brother, he texted me, and he said, I get a text from ILE, the children would like to speak to you. They like to say goodnight. What? I hadn't gone anywhere, mind you. I had pulled around the corner, because I'm like, do I call the police now? I don't know what to do. But I knew I couldn't call the cops. I didn't have custody. He didn't have custody. If it got ugly, the police would have took our children and put them in protective service until we figured it all out. So I'm crying, and his brother's like, oh, okay, well, I said, the children want to speak to me. Let me go. Oh, yeah, go ahead, talk to them. I got to go to work, but go ahead and talk to them. Okay. To this day, his brother never called me back. I talked to my children. My children are saying, Mommy, why did you leave? Why did you? I said, it's okay. I said, your daddy, you want to spend the night at daddy's house. Well, why can't you just, I said, why can't you just come back? Come back and get us. I said, it's okay. You're going to spend the night at your daddy's house. And that was it. But at that moment, that terrifying feeling, again, if you are a black woman with any ounce of compassion, you know how it feels when the fear, somebody's taking your children and not allowing and taking them away from you and going to tell you that you can't see them. Somebody who's been abusive to you and you have no control of that situation. At that moment, I said, this will never happen again. That's when I decided to get child custody. All of that. I said, this individual is not well. And I cannot play this game when it comes to our children. He can talk to me any kind of way he wants. He can do. You're not going to play with my children. No, you're not going to do that to me as their mother. That's when I decided to do that. And when I got legal counsel, my lawyer, I said, I just want to file for child custody so that this doesn't happen. I explained the situation. She suggested I do child support, a black lawyer. And the reason she suggested that was because I said, no, I'm good. I'm making enough money now. I think I can take care of them. She said, it's not about that. You're talking about today. These children are going to grow up. You're not guaranteed to have that job 5 years from now. You're not guaranteed to have that job 2 years from now. And even if you do, they're going to grow up. You have higher expenses, college. It's time you put it on paper now, so there's no question about what his legal obligation is. There's no question that is something he has to do. Because, I'm sorry, I missed a huge part. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, it did happen then. At that time I said, I still declined. I said, no, I don't want to do it. Okay, we'll just prepare, start working towards child custody. We started working on that. In between time, in the midst of her, putting that stuff together, I had contacted him because they were starting school. I had enrolled them in school, and they needed school clothes. And I said, I'm going to pay the tuition for them to go to school. I'm going to pay that. But I need you two things. I said, could you please pay for their school clothes? It's going to be about, all I need to think is $250 for just, a couple things I'm going to order. Could you reimburse me? I don't have $250. I said, I'm only asking again for $250. I'm paying their school clothes. I'm paying their medical bills. I'm paying their, for their food, everything. I'm not asking you for any, I'm paying for the tuition. All right, well, I'll pay you. I have text messages of all this. I'll pay you on such and such a date. Okay. That day, as we got the week before that day, I said, so, you're going to pay me on this day. How do you want to send the money? Do you want to do PayPal, or how we go? No response. The date came. I never heard from you. How do you want to pay? No, nothing. Never ever was he going to pay the $250. Never. That's when I was like, damn, my lawyer was right. In his mind, you pay for it. He wasn't going to do a damn thing. So that's when I said, I have to do support, because he doesn't believe that he's responsible at all.
Financial independence. I've been fighting this battle for so long. Used to get the government money to fight it. Then, I was married, so my ex-wife was here, and she paid the mortgage. I paid everything else, but I scrambled and scrounged it up. But the reality of it is, I've always been trying, since I got fired, to chase the dollar. And then I'm doing the work is the first thing, but it's hard when you're quietly scrambling and scraping. And I thought about it long and hard, and I said, it's time. My people are ready. You really want to see this thing happen. You want real change. Release me from these shackles. And I'm going to tell you how we're going to do it, so that it's a minimal incidence to people. But at the same time, you help me to really show you the irritated genie I was born to be, in our own interest as a race. One, I need a minimum of 20 people per month by the 25th of each month, and it'll be started in July. So don't worry about, July this month. I'll take care of that, but it'll be on the 25th of each month, so that it'll be ready for the first of the next month. to dedicate, and that's for 1 year. This is what I want people to do. Problem we have had, our leaders are compromised because other people own them. Give me a year. And then after a year, I'll come back and we'll renegotiate these terms. But give me a year. At least, don't, can't fade on me. Give me an entire year. I'm going to need 20 people per month by the 25th of each month to dedicate to a 1-year term. The email address is liberation@waronthehorizon.com. I'm going to say it again. liberation@waronthehorizon.com. Email, and in the subject line say, I want to commit to the 1-year term. Say, committing to the 1-year term. As long as you straight, black, and proud, and you don't got to be a member, I just mean, I want my people to come. I want them to step up, and this is what I want you to do. Commit to 1 year. You committed to stuff for a year, and if it didn't work, you pulled out. I think that's fair. I don't have a problem. I believe in the work that we're doing and what I'm going to do. I believe in myself. I believe in you. Give me a year. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. $100 a month. The bare minimum I need is 20 people. But it might be more. I thought about it. First I was going to say 15. Then I said, you know what? Don't put a limit. The limit is the minimum. I need 20 people to say, we believe in you that much, brother. And not just you, the work that you're doing. We're going to give you a year to show us that if I make $25 an hour out of a month, 4 of those hours, I'm giving to my brother. You know, if you make $10 an hour, you say, you know what, a day plus, 1 day and a half, I'm giving to my brother. For a year. I'm dedicated, I'm committed, I can do it. Because what I'm going to do, and then here, commitment for a year and no excuses. I don't want people, if you're going to change your mind, if you're going to get shady, if you're going to, I ran into hard times, that's not who I'm looking for. I'm looking for people like me who said they're going to do something and do it. I'm going to tell you what this is going to do. It's going to be bare minimum more than I need to pay this thing that the state is now trying to do to crack my back, which is the whole child support, all that garbage or whatever. For children that I can't even see that I take care of anyway, that's okay. The thing is, that's designed to shoot me down. That becomes null and void. It won't even be a thought in my mind anymore. I won't even think about it. Why? Because I'll have the money to just go down there on the 1st of every month, because by 25th, I got this. On the 1st of every month, I walk down there, sign it off. Hi, got it, done, peace. And any additional funds I got now, I can use that for the war that I'm launching. You will see the war. I'm not telling you about something that's secretive. Some of it you won't see. Most of it, you'll see enough to know what you're paying for. You will see the places I am and what I'm doing when I'm there. You will know, you will feel the change. Give me a year. I can't tell you in 3 months that you'll feel it the way I want you to.
And then on top of that, I had asked him, I said, I'm going to put them in school. I'll drop them off every day. Could you please just pick them up from school and bring them back to, he was selling DVDs at Everlasting Life restaurant 10 minutes away from the school. Could you just pick them up and bring them back there, and I'll pick them up after I get off work. That way I'm not rushing through traffic trying to get there on time and, possibly being late. I can't do that. Huh? Yeah, maybe I'll find somebody, quotations, I'll find somebody that can pick them up. Okay. So now I got to do everything on my own. I'm back to that, but that's how it's always been our relationship. My family had to remind you. You're forgetting. That's how it always been. You've always done everything on your own. When they were babies, he never helped me with anything. Anything. Not sometimes, not one cook, nothing. To be clear. It was my responsibility. And I assumed that as an African woman, that's what we did. We did it. We took everything, the children, the home, everything. But I was doing that plus the financial responsibility. I took it all on my shoulders so that he could do the work for you, the people. I supported him 1,000% when he was doing his radio shows. I'm upstairs trying to quiet the children so they're not making noise. I'm cleaning up, I'm making dinner, I'm cleaning up the kitchen, I'm cleaning up the children, I'm getting them ready for bed, I'm trying to get the house cleaned up. He didn't have to worry about any of that. Nothing. Ain't have to pick up a vacuum at all, ever. Ever. And then you call me unsupportive. You call me, I was the epitome of submissiveness. The epitome of everything I gave was support him so that he could in turn support you, the people. So fast forward. So now I got my secure apartment and he didn't know where I lived. He didn't even know where I lived. I didn't give him the address. And every time he could, he was, Mommy, Daddy wants to know where we live. No, he's not. Do not tell your father. I had to have these conversations with my children, explain. I couldn't go into detail about what happened, but I just said it's for the best interest of Mommy that Daddy doesn't know where I live. But, you know, you can still see him. You'll still see him, but he doesn't have to know where Mommy lives. Well, why can't we just tell him? You know, I had to go through this again and again and again and again and again and again. So it was all of these things. There was all of these things that were happening that led up. Then, now we go with the, now we fast forward to my lawyer has filed for, put the paperwork in for child custody and child support, but he has to get served those papers, okay? He has to be served. So she she has somebody that has to serve him. In the same week, that he is scheduled to be served, he doesn't know this, but the same week he's scheduled to be served, 2 women in this country were murdered trying to seek child support and child custody. This is what I'm getting in my news feed. This is the ancestors letting me know this is not a game. Be prepared. Don't play with this thing. You need to stop going to his house and dropping off those children. You got to meet in a public place. And my lawyer is like, once those papers are served, no longer meet him at his house. You go to a public place that is well lit.
Can you tell the people what you did when you picked up the kids during the summer when he was watching them as you worked? How did you work that? What did you do?
I would drop them off and I had my mom on the phone. My mom would be on the phone. I'm in the car. She's on the phone. She can hear everything. Mm-hmm. Did they get in okay? Yeah. They would go up to the door and they would go in the house. He closed the door. I'd drive off. That was it.
And when you picked them up?
And when I picked them up, the same thing. That's it. Never any communication with him. And so this was my existence. But now we're talking about, I'm reading about women who are, it was a woman on the West Coast, and these black women, these weren't just women like, these are black women who look like they could be my family, who were in abuse situation. This man killed them. One female shot in the courthouse. In the courthouse. Don't know how he got a gun there, but she got killed in the courthouse. So this is what I was dealing with, the fear I had. So I said, okay, we can't meet any. So now I'm trying to get him to meet me in a public place. Now you're trying to get me to meet you at a police station. I never told you to meet in a police station. The place that I wanted him to meet, and I have text messages. Understand, this is not hearsay. I have everything in writing. The place where I was trying to get him to meet me is the same shopping center where he gets his hair cut and has gotten his hair cut for years. His barbershop is in that complex. Meet me there. We can exchange the children. It's a public place. It's open. It's not me going to his house, which is more secluded and not as open as this. No, he didn't want to do it. But you get the story that I don't want him. I'm not allowing him to see the children. That's the version you get. It got so much so that I said, this is the day that you said you want to see the children. I'm going to meet you at this place to get the children. They said, okay. I got my children up, got them dressed, drove out. I said, I'm assuming this means you're going to meet me at such and such Oxon Hill is a part of Maryland. You're going to meet me there. He never responded. So I said, I'm going to get up anyway. So my children know Mommy made an attempt to do this. And we went to that shopping center, and I texted. I said, we're here. He texted back, said, I don't see you outside. I'm not outside. I said, I'm here at such and such. I gave him the address. He said, that's a police station. I'm not coming to the police station. I said, okay, I'll take that as you're not coming. And I turned around. I had to explain to my children, Daddy had an emergency. He can't make it. But they knew. And we got home. He said, what happened to y'all? He's talking phone. I thought y'all were coming. I could hear him telling them. They said, Daddy, we were there. Where were you? No, You were supposed to come to my house. They said, no, Daddy. Mommy said she wasn't coming to your house. See, I told my children the truth. The truth while he was telling them lies. He was messing with their head. That's a whole nother thing. I put our children in, I had to put my daughter in therapy because she was so emotionally in distress about the situation. I have text messages to show that I sent him that said, we need to be able to sit down with a third party so that we can explain to our children what is happening. His response was, no, I already talked to them about it. They're fine. They weren't fine. My daughter would cry. She'd have outbursts. All kinds of stuff was going on. She wasn't handling it well. I had to get her therapy. So we had these contentious emails going back and forth. Then my lawyer, so when you file for child support and child custody, you don't just turn around and have at least not in Prince George County, you don't have the court case the next month. We got put off. She filed in September. Our court case wasn't until April. It didn't start, the process wasn't going to start until next April. So therefore, part of her process was she had to write up a visitation schedule to say, are you willing to do this? So I told him all the things we could do, to get, because I wanted him to see the children. See, this is what you don't get. Up until this point, I want to see them. You could bring them over for this day. Drop them off at Everlasting Life for an hour and pick them up. No, that's not time, quality time. You want to see your children, I want you to spend a quality amount of time with them. So she wrote it up. He was going to get them every other weekend, and we had this nice little schedule. He responded, I'll do that if you cancel the $1 million life insurance policy that you have on me. 2, I'll agree to this visitation if you pay me $500 a month. You heard me right, and I got the documents to prove it. This was his counter to the visitation schedule that my lawyer drew up that would have, if he had agreed upon, listen very carefully, long before we got to court, if he had agreed upon, we never would have went to court. We didn't have to go. She never was asking him for money. She just said, agree upon this visitation schedule. That was it. No money. And he said, no. But I want you to pay me. You want me to have them every other weekend? You're going to pay me $500 a month. I said, this is the sickest thing I've ever heard of in my life. All I'm trying to do is to get him on a regular, reoccurring schedule to see his children. And he's telling me I'll agree to those terms if you pay me $500. And let's cover while we're on that, the whole thing about the insurance policy, because there was a lot of lies being told about that. Very interesting. And hurtful. Because you never heard about the life insurance policy and you start conjuring up Corey. We'll get to him soon. You conjuring up this, now I'm trying to kill him? What? What is wrong with y'all? What is wrong with y'all? I got a life insurance policy on my husband. That's what responsible people do. Responsible couples do. Especially in 2013 when he was plastered all over CNN and everywhere in the phone. We couldn't even keep the warning long before Straight Black Pride even existed. I answered the warn. Yes, that was another one of my jobs. I answered the Warren Horizon phone. Many of y'all have talked to me when they called up to talk to Warren Horizon. I answered the phone. I couldn't leave the phone on because the whites was calling so daggone bad, threatening to kill us in so many different types of ways. Death threats coming in the mail. Death threats coming by email. I'm looking out the window watching people pull up at our house because the house was public information and his government name was out there and people were pulling up to our house looking around. And I'm in that house by myself with my children because I owe somewhere on a speaking engagement. You don't know my damn story. You don't know my story. Now I got to sit here and say, wait a minute, Nefertari. If he gets killed, how are you going to take care of these babies? Think. So I said, you need to get an insurance policy because if something happens to you, I'm out. There's nothing. We have nothing. We have no house. We have no cars. We have nothing. they have no future financially. He agreed. You're right. I'll do it. He agreed. When you get a life insurance policy, that person has to agree to get a life. You can't get it without them agreeing. We got a black life insurance agent that helped y'all any better. We signed a policy. I paid. Listen again. I paid every single red cent of that policy and still continue to pay that policy. I'm the owner of that policy. You understand what I'm saying? That's it. The policy is for our children. That's what it's for. It's for our children. And he's telling me to cancel it. What? This is for your children. And you want to cancel it because somewhere in your twisted mind, you think that I want to kill you. And this all stems from all you had to do was admit to the African people, to the straight black pride family. All you had to do was say, you know what, brothers and sisters, I messed up. I talked to my wife in a way that was un-Africanly of me. I threatened to physically put my hands on her. I held her in a room against her will. I took a sledgehammer and destroyed her property, her furniture, something that meant something to her. And it wasn't right. And maybe this relationship will never, ever be mended. And I beg upon the forgiveness of you, straight black pride leadership, and I beg upon the forgiveness of the community. And whatever penalty you impose upon me, I accept and will abide by. No! Instead, it comes into this whole conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. The government is involved. Tazara is trying to take over straight black pride. Her husband want to take over the organization. Nefertari is trying to kill me to collect $1 million. What? How did we get here? How did we get here? How did we get here? And so this is all leading up to the child support case. Okay? The children, sorry fam, this is heavy. It's a lot. The first year the children were in school, they had never been in school. They had been homeschooled their whole life. And when you do that, a child's immune system is not ready to be exposed to other children, right? They were healthy, they ate well, all that good stuff, but it's just not ready. So they got sick a lot. And the school warned me about that, but I still was not prepared. My son got the flu. He was 6, he was 5 at the time. He got the flu. They got ear infections, stomach viruses, and then my daughter, the worst was she got walking pneumonia. And I was there to tend them every step of the way, having to take off from, again, my first year, my first job, taking off of work, calling out, trying to take care of my children in the emergency room middle of the night. My children are lethargic, they're sick. I'm scared to death. I'm calling out to my mom. My mom took off an entire week and came down to spend with us to help me take care of the children. Where was your fearless leader? When my daughter had walking pneumonia, he was in Uganda or Zimbabwe. I text him, Kania has walking pneumonia. You know what I'm saying? And it was on Skype because he couldn't get text. We did Skype message. I said, she has walking pneumonia. I'm thinking he's going to call, and I Skyped him a few times. All of a sudden now he ain't responding. Okay? And then when he did respond, it was when he got back in town. He got back in the country. And when we were in the court, he had nerve to say, well, what do you think I was supposed to do? Was I supposed to leave Africa? Was I supposed to get on the plane and come home? I'm telling you, your daughter got walking pneumonia. Hell yes, that's what I would have done. That's what I would have done. That's what I would have done. Would you have done that for your daughter, sis?
Absolutely, but he's a race man.
What's first? What's more important? No disrespect. Your family is the race. There's no separation. There's no separation. But in his mind, it is. This race is more important than my family. That's un-African. So yes, the children got sick a lot. Okay? Did you want to say something, sis? Okay, I'm sorry. The children got sick a lot. So now fast forward, we go to April. In April, when you're going through child support, you have to go to mediation. So we went to mediation. This is long before the trial. You try to work out, what can we do? Now again, he had opportunity to get a visitation. He wasn't asked to pay anything, but when you go to mediation, now they're going to look and run the numbers. What can you afford? So the judge runs the numbers and says, based on his income, he can afford X amount of dollars. Okay. $8.95. I think he told y'all how much he paid, so I'll say. The judge said he could pay $8.95. Okay. He said, I can't pay that. I can't afford that. So the judge said, well, what can you afford? $250 a month. What in the world am I going to do with $250? And it was an insult because I said at that point, being his wife, see, he was saying he didn't have any money. He didn't have even $250 to pay for school clothes in August. I had already run the numbers of his Square account that I had access to as his wife. That summer of 2018, on Square alone, he had made $10,000 in just over 2 months. I have the receipts. I have my lawyer got it. Receipts. $10,000. I was shocked to death. My lawyer said, you don't have access to any accounts. And I said, you know what? I think I got this one. $10,000. $10,000. And he's saying he don't have any money. And understand, that's just Square. That's not including the cash that you pay when you come and you buy DVDs. You give him cash. That's not including the DVDs he's selling on his website, and you pay him through there, and that goes through PayPal and other sources. Why would you deny your children that? Why would you do that? So then he says he doesn't have any money, but yet and still, the judge says, all right, well, we can't reach an agreement because I said I'm not taking $250 because now I know he's lying. So it's different before when I was feeling sorry for him and he doesn't make a lot of money. You know, he's lying. He is making money. He's lying. So now I'm like, wait a minute. The judge says if y'all can't agree, y'all have to go to trial. So now maybe we'll set a trial date. So now it's coming down. We're setting the trial date, and he says, oh yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that date because I'm going to Zimbabwe. Wait a minute. You just said you ain't had no money. And you now telling the judge you got to go to Zimbabwe for, I forgot how long, 3 weeks, something ridiculous. You can't go, huh? Okay. Even the judge had to say, the judge told him, she said, and I'm not, because this is mediation, so she can't enforce so just a suggestion. You got to go to trial to get the final order, which is seen by a different judge. The judge said, I'm not trying to say what you need to do, but sometimes, we all have things we like to do. We have hobbies that we love. But when you have a family, sometimes you got to think about that. You might want to think about getting another job or something else that can help support. In a nice way, she was saying, you need to get a daggone job. You can't sit here with 2 children and say you can't support them and it's all got to be on her. That's ridiculous. So now we're going to trial. Anybody that's been to child support and child custody trial, I don't know about y'all, but my lawyer said it was almost unheard of for her, and she's been in the business for quite some time. We were in trial for 3.5 days. Spread over April, May, June, 3 months. Because it kept continuing, ran out of time. They only give you a certain amount of time. We in there all day, run out of time, got to go to another day. So, my lawyer was black. See, y'all getting the misinformation. I didn't go to the man. I didn't go to the whites. Prince George's County, I already told you, is predominantly black. You walk in the courthouse, everybody black. The bailiff black. The security guards black. The court administrators are black. The bailiffs are black. The sheriffs is black. All the court administrators are black. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody white in the whole courtroom, even a daggone somebody coming in there for a case. You'd be hard pressed to even see a white lawyer. That's how black it is in this county. So now here I am, coming in, everybody in the courtroom black, But you getting it that I'm bringing him to the government. It's the government that's trying to bring him down. The state is taking him down.
The state.
This ain't got nothing to do with nothing. This is all in your head. You're imagining this. You're making yourself bigger than life for no reason. This is about our children. So then you have Sister Tazara, and you can come in. Sister Tazara came as a character witness. She was a witness to everything that happened because she had been involved from day one. You want to say anything about your situation with that, sis?
Yeah. So I probably need to speak on it because there was some chatter on social media about my husband and I being in court with him, And so I really don't care what anybody has to say about it because I did it because the children have the right to have support by their father. And so, yes, I was a witness. I stood up. This was not something that my sister didn't mention because I don't want nobody to get misconstrued or get confused about this. This was a trial for custody.
Yes, it was.
Not a trial based on abuse. He was not in that courtroom because he was being brung up on charges of domestic violence. However, because we were in trial, you have what you call a discovery period, and a lot of different questions need to be answered. What led up to the breakup? What happened? What was the situation in the home? So that gets drilled down. It gets drilled down and there's questions about it. So we showed up on behalf of Sister Neff. And I need to just backtrack just a second. Because I'm not trying to pull my own or toot my own horn or anything like that. But in this very, very, very crazy situation that was happening, this sister was alone. Besides the fact, of course, of her beloved mom that was with her and her best friend, the African community or the African-centered community or the conscious community, straight black pride, nobody. Nobody. She had nobody. So yeah, we showed up. Yeah, we went to court and we showed up on her behalf. So I don't care what anybody out there in social media land called Facebook and Instagram and all that garbage. I don't care. We showed up on her behalf because she needed us. And we were there.
Yep.
So that's what we did. That's
real. And you're absolutely right. Here's the thing that everybody has to understand, because I think a really interesting part that everybody leaves out, or that from all the little chitter chatter that I've seen going on, is that none of this had to come to you in the public. None of this. Mm-mm. And we're going to get in deep in it in a later segment, but I follow African-centered protocol. I went to so-called elders. Hold tight, because we're going to talk about that. It's going to have to be another segment. There's a lot. We can't fit everything in just each of these segments. I went to so-called elders. Then I went to my straight black pride leadership family. And all of them gave me the two biggest middle fingers I've ever seen. I didn't even know people in the African community gave middle fingers. I was crushed. I got to figure out, what am I going to do? Nobody's helping me. Tazara and her husband were the only ones out of the African-centered community said we're going to be here. And I'm not talking about those if you say I didn't know anything about this, then I'm not talking about you. If you didn't know, you didn't know. That's not who I'm talking about, the ones who knew. They did nothing to help me. They did nothing to protect me. They did nothing to help intervene. They did nothing to resolve the situation. So therefore, every step of the way, Io got bolder and bolder and bolder and bolder and bolder. Because nobody checked him on it. Nobody called him on it. Nobody chastised him on it. He faced no repercussions for it. He didn't have to be accountable. So that he could spiral this thing out into some weird, elaborate government scheme to undermine his efforts in the African. What are you talking about? And y'all just ate it up. Like red Kool-Aid from Jim Jones. Y'all just drank it down straight. No chaser. No investigation. No investigation. I used to ask Tazara, is anybody asking you what happened? No, sis, I'm sorry. Nobody's saying nothing. People have my number. I've known people for years. Nobody. So fast, back to the trial. So we at the trial. Let me just jump back. So Tazara came, Baba-ILe came as well, and on my defense. Once he saw I had witnesses, he got his own witnesses because I was saying the lawyer represented me. He represented himself, just so you know. He represented himself during this case. So he brings in Conrad the Simp, so-called leader. And I'm sorry, you might find it insulting, but I'm insulted at this point. I'm disgusted. This is my life. These are black men and women who I held to the highest esteem. Would have done anything for them. He come into the courtroom and gonna lie. No, before he came in the courtroom, he didn't. They submitted they were trying to submit affidavits. Conrad the Simp and Sally Big Doofy Rowe from Boston.
That dude.
Y'all insult my name, I insult yours. Come gonna write an affidavit and say I said he never abused me. I said on a conference call that he never abused me. Lying. Straight you putting in a legal document. You signing your name to it and saying I attest to the fact that he never touched. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to me as a black woman? Even if you wanted to stay loyal to him, stay the hell out of it. Just stay out of it.
Not if you have to lie. Not if you have to embellish the truth.
Lie. We was like, what affidavit? When I saw the names, I couldn't even believe what we were reading. I couldn't even believe it. Thank goodness the judge threw it out. She said, if you didn't have them here, you didn't give her lawyer time to investigate. Who are these people? We don't even know who these people are. Well, it is signed that she hasn't had an opportunity to investigate and cross-examine them, to get her own discovery, to find out threw it out. So when we had to go into the third day of trial, now he brings, can I bring in a witness? He brings in Conrad the Simp. Conrad the Simp gets up there and wants to say, yes, she said, he never. I was on the call and it was said that she never said anything about abuse. My lawyer said, did she say that he held her in a room against her will? Yes. Did she say that he busted up her furniture with a sledgehammer? Yes. No further questions. That literally how that conversation went. In other words, you lying. You're making a judgment call to say that those things don't qualify as abuse. And I'm willing to lie and say that she never told me that there was you're lying. Broke my heart. He came into the courtroom trying to say he can't afford to pay child support and arrogantly, on his own accord, showed $65,000 tax return. Even blew my mind because before, when we were in mediation, he only had a $35,000 tax return. At least I had a little bit of empathy. And that's what the judge was basing the $895 off of. He only made $35,000, $895. We figured, she
for 2 children.
For 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
2 children.
Right.
I had family members that paid 3 times that amount for 2 children. Sometimes for 1 child. Okay? For 2 children. The judge had empathy and sympathy for him. But here we are. now we're in the trial, and it's a new judge. He brings in his tax return, $65,000. Wait a minute. In between that time, his chest sticking out, and he's saying, so my lawyer was like, well, you make $65,000, really? But that money is, I can't use that money for child support because that's for me to do the work of the people. People give me that money to help me get to Africa. Huh? In the meantime, see, up until this point, this is where you get involved, listening audience. He was putting out GoFundMe accounts for you to give him money to go to Zimbabwe, right? Sister Tazara was, how do I know? I wasn't on Facebook. Sister Tazara would share this with me and other people who I won't name because I don't want them to get excommunicated. Okay? Other people, other family would share some things with me. People, and I didn't mention that earlier. There's a few people out there who stood by me, who have been standing by me, who are in the African community. I'll never say their names because I don't want them to be excommunicated, and I don't want them to get the vile treatment that Tazara and her husband have gotten. But they would send me things, and when he would go GoFundMe, he was getting GoFundMe, and the dollars was going up. We just sending all kind of money for the children of Zimbabwe. And I said, do you think he gave the children of Zimbabwe that money? And that's what Tazara asked. What do you think happened to that money? You asked that, sis.
I did. I asked the question because I wanted to know. I was really curious to know. I mean, he's collecting. He's doing GoFundMe's campaign, and he's doing Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook donation campaigns.
He's running these tangent, like together, basically. So he's getting these funds from our people. So I asked him one day, Sister Neff, but what do you think that he's doing with this money?
Yeah, and I said, unless those children of Zimbabwe have the name called Wells Fargo, maybe that's an African name that we don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you that's who's getting the money. Wells Fargo, mortgage holder of said property that he needs to pay a mortgage on to keep a roof over his head. Yeah, that's what he's getting. So unless you can find me some children in Zimbabwe that have African names, we don't know. Maybe like a lot of people like that. And I'm just, we can laugh about this stuff now. We joke because it's not as raw anymore. It's parts of it anyway. But it's like you got people in the African community always want to find some African name that matches something of today. Well, maybe maybe Wells Fargo is an African name.
Yeah, maybe it could be.
So maybe he can convince you all that. But that's where that money went. And none of y'all ever did they ever ask for receipts, sis?
No.
Show us the video of you giving them the same amount of money you collected from us to the people of Zimbabwe.
Or whatever you did with the money. Let's just say maybe you were thinking you was going to give them a percentage of the money and then give them supplies. I just want to know, how come the public didn't ask you?
They didn't ask.
For a receipt.
They didn't ask.
A video that you love to do so often. And so well. You do it so well. It's such a great production that you put on.
But see, my lawyer she got subpoenas of his bank accounts. Okay, she was able to show money is going into him transferring money from business accounts to his personal account. And that came up in court. Wait a minute, why is money in personal account? See, by law, once you take money from your business account and put it in it's income to be used by you for your personal expenses. Everybody knows that who's ever been in business. That's what that means. He tried to dismiss it. Oh, no. I had to buy the airline tickets with that money. So that's why I put in. I mean, he was doing so many dances around the courtroom.
Because he actually played that on his Monday show.
Yes.
What was it entitled, that show? The State versus the Irritated Genie. And so you played portions.
Mixtapes.
Oh, excuse me. Mixtapes.
Yeah.
From the court, the actual court audio that you got your hands on that you was not supposed to do.
Illegal.
Illegal.
It is illegal in the state of Maryland to play recordings of court proceedings. See, if it wasn't legal, we'd play it right now so you could get all.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We play it.
Without doubt.
I got it now too. So you could hear the truth. Not the remix version.
Not the remix.
Where somebody sliced and diced something and added on stuff that wasn't even in the trial. Remember? Wasn't in it? Like, where did it come from?
Yeah, because the question of the questions when she asked him, and he sliced, inserted his own version of what the response was when she asked him.
Yes.
Okay? When he said that she was suggesting something illegal that he was doing. See, that wasn't the real response that he had when he was in that courtroom.
It wasn't the response.
Yeah, I was there.
You were there.
Yeah, I was there. We witnessed. Me and my husband, we were right there.
Yep.
We heard it. So what y'all got, and I don't want nobody out there to come, because we did hear one person say this, that you can't take an audio of a court proceeding and do anything with it in, what do you call it, manipulate it in any kind of way. You're a lie.
You a lie. It comes to you in an MP. You can find it. I have it. They give it to you on a USB stick. It's just like any other audio file. You take it. You can drop it anywhere. You can slice it up, dice it up anywhere you want.
This is the king of remix. You know, because see, it was okay. You know, when y'all saw things on Farrakhan and SETI and you know all of those things. You know, so. This guy, you know.
It's not going to change now because he's dealing with this situation.
Right.
He's going to do the same thing. He's going to do the same thing. And so it was insulting to us. I couldn't even believe he played it because then you're going to put out my government name. Here's the thing. You're going to put out the name of your wife, the mother of your children. I knew what he was doing. See, this is when I stepped up my game in terms of security. I knew what he was doing. And we had to listen just recently to the last part of that show because none of us ever listened to it all the way to the end to hear the callers. Which again we'll get into. I think we'll get into that later.
Yeah, we get into that.
But it's just the point of the whole purpose behind that was to get you riled up so that you would do harm to me. You would do harm to Tazara. You would do harm to Baba-ILe. So his hands would be clean. And y'all like little puppets who drank the Kool-Aid. Just like Jim Jones gave the people the red Kool-Aid in syringes and in cups. And they went right ahead like just like puppets, just like robots. And drank it down, injected it into their children, and killed themselves. Just like robots, y'all on cue, dial up the calls. We'll do anything for you, brother. Ready, waiting to do it. And you were given lies. I had to step up my security to make sure that this fool didn't have somebody following me. I had to tell security to tell Tazara, we all got to be on guard because we don't know what's going to happen. So at the end result, we're going to wrap this portion up. We're going to continue, but the end result of this case was the judge was ready to, after 3.5 days of trial, everybody was exhausted. And actually, no, after 3 days of trial, everyone was exhausted. And the judge said, okay, we're ready for closing arguments. She asked my lawyer, how long will you need? My lawyer said, about 10, 15 minutes should be sufficient. Okay. Mr. Kimati, how much time do you need? I'm going to need about 30, 45 minutes. My lawyer almost fell out. What? I'm sorry, what'd you say? I need about 30, 45 minutes. And I knew what this was. The judge said, well, the judge said, well, if you're going to need that long, then we're going to have to go to another day because we are, the court's going to be closing soon. We don't have enough time. So we'll have to reschedule. My lawyer's like, oh my God, we've already been here for 3 days. Give us a break. Like, can't you, the judge, she was like, can you please, can't you get, well, the judge said, well, honestly, if everybody's in agreement, I'm willing to give my judgment. All right, I have my judgment ready. The judge was ready. We don't have to close. She already made up her mind. He is like, no, I want to give my closing argument. He didn't want to forgo it, and he has a right to give his closing argument. And I told everybody knew what that was. See, that was for you, listening audience. Mm-hmm. This was a presentation for him. Mm-hmm. This was a lecture. Mm-hmm. The only thing he forgot to ask the judge was, will you have a screen and a projector? And I'm going to need an adequate sound system because this microphone right here ain't going to work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I need somebody to videotape this. That's the only thing that was missing. Because this was going to be a show for him. He needed to get up there and do a show. So because of him, we had to wait another 2 weeks before we could go back to court for the judge to get so he could get his 30 to 45 minute rant, his event. his lecture of the state versus Irritated Genie.
Yeah.
So that he would be ready, because he knew he was going to play it for you.
Mm-hmm.
He knew he needed us to chop it up and remix it and give it back to you. He had to put on a performance. So we have to come back another day. Now we have 3.5 days of trial. That's taking off of work. I got to find, listen, this is something deep. The last day, nobody could come, because y'all came on the third day, right? Y'all didn't come for the final. Mm-mm. I was out. By that time, my mother, Keisha, Tazara and Baba-ILe, everybody exhausted vacation time. They can't make this time. So I got to go by myself. So now, I'm in the courtroom by myself. My lawyer is there. And the judge gives her verdict. And at the end of it, he'll tell you that the bailiffs came in. They all came. They did. Mm-hmm. They did. Not because of anything I requested. See, the judge, I didn't tell you, the judge is a black woman. I'm sure you heard through your extra. She's a black woman. Okay, I said everybody was black. The judge is a black woman. She already perceived everything going on in the courtroom. His posture. At one point, she had to tell him when he was cross-examining me, again, because he represented himself. She had to tell him, Mr. Kimathi, you don't have to come up to the podium. You can stand behind it. Stand behind the desk, behind your table. Because she saw his posture at me. I think y'all were there for that.
We were there for that one, yes.
Because even you commented, I didn't realize what I was doing. You commented what about my reaction from him?
Yeah, when he began to start speaking with you and how your posture changed. You went from sitting straight up to literally, by the time he finished cross-examining you, you was almost down in the chair. Because you had sunk into yourself. Head down and all.
It was everybody. What happened was, by the end of his representing himself, everybody in that courtroom had an opportunity to see how he interacted with me, how he talked to me. It was all live and direct, and how I responded to him, how aggressive he was with me. All that came out, and it's just child support. It wasn't even it was child support. All that came out, so that the judge could see when I lay down this verdict, I need to have some extra security in here because I don't know how he's going to react. Because she already knew what she was going to do. I got sole, legal, and physical custody. End of story. He was charged with having to pay not $8.95. Now you're going to pay $10.95. So you messed up. You had a good deal before. Now you messed up. $10.95. And yes, you're going to have the visitation that she requested is ordered. So you have to have them every other weekend. He got nothing that he wanted.
But you have to ask yourself the question. Because again, this wasn't a conspiracy. These people didn't know nothing about this guy. They didn't know him from the hole in the wall. Nobody in that courtroom knew the Irritated Genie or Straight Black Pride.
He had a fair chance.
So this was fair. You have to ask yourself the question, why? Mm-hmm. What happened? He represented himself. Well, maybe he should have had a lawyer or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. He showed who he was in that courtroom. Absolutely insane. Even the simp, when he was in the courtroom performing and grandstanding, because he's the foremost authority on everything homosexuality and pedophilia. And so he's in there grandstanding to the point that it was embarrassing. He said something that was so out of order and so ridiculous because it was all about him. You know, it's all about him. It's all, self-centered. It was so bad that the court clerks ran out.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. Because we need to touch on that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, but wait. They ran out, and then I slightly turned around because the simp was sitting behind me in the courtroom. It was only us in there. There was nobody else. Mm-hmm. I slightly turned around and looked at him. It was so bad to him. He had his head hanging all the way down, shaking it back and forth like, I can't believe this is happening right now.
Done.
grandstanding. You would have thought that the people in the courtroom came in there and paid $25 to watch him put up his event and his production called The State versus the Irritated Genie. And he was in there as Ayo Kamati. Okay? Go ahead, sis.
Yeah, because when that happened, because we didn't touch on this, there's a whole thing he was putting out. She gave my children a measles vaccine. Oh my God. It's the end of the world. The sky is going to fall to the ground, and it is, Armageddon has reached us. I gave my children the measles. I got my children the measles. I sure did. Because I had to sit with my children in emergency rooms, watching my children in a state I had never seen them before ever be that ill with the flu. Anybody in Sound of Voice ever had a 6-year-old child with the flu? A 7-year-old child with walking pneumonia? My daughter couldn't even get up out of the bed. Could barely talk. I was terrified. I'm calling people. I got strangers because the African Center community was nowhere on the scene. Not at least the ones I knew. I had people I didn't even know from their school. Don't know me from dirt. Helping me out. Sis, give her this, give her that. You should do that. Try this, try this. Offering support. I never want to see my children in that state ever again in their lives. That scared the bejesus. My daughter had 104 temperature. I called this on. I don't know what to do. She got 104 temperature.
Yeah, we was going back and forth that day.
I'm terrified. She, mommy, I'm cold. I'm terrified. She woke up one night. She couldn't even breathe. My son had to come get me. Kania's crying. I go in their room. I can't breathe. She couldn't breathe. 104 temperature. That was nice. She had 104 temperature.
Where was he at again?
He was in Zimbabwe. He was in Zimbabwe. So when the next thing you know, I'm trying to nurse them back to health. And while I'm trying to nurse them back to health, all over the news is there's a measles outbreak starting in California. Now I'm watching this thing. It moved from next thing is it spread. Now they got a case in New York. Now they got cases in New Jersey, not too far from where my mama lived. So I got to be fearful of we going back and forth to New Jersey. My mom's coming down here. She could carry this thing. My children are not immunized. The straw that broke the camel's back was when they said there have been 4 cases confirmed in Maryland. That's it. I can't play. I'm not playing no games with my children's life to satisfy what y'all think. What the hell? If you want to do that with your children's life, that's your prerogative. These are my children. And back it up. He lied to you and said we agreed we would never vaccinate our children. That's a lie. Lie number 14,200. We said we wouldn't vaccinate our children at birth because there was a what do you call it? What's the disease that children were getting? The the baby when they young. No, oh God, the autism.
Oh, the autism.
There was an autism scare.
Yeah.
And it was everybody was saying it was because of vaccination. So we said let's at least wait until they have passed that stage where we know that they are mentally okay, they have their physical development is good, and then we will start talking about phasing in the more severe vaccinations like measles, polio, those things, not necessarily chickenpox or the flu vaccination, but the big things. And 2, more importantly, we wanted to get them vaccinated. Listen. Because we had plans to take them to Africa one day. And I'd be damned if I'm taking my children to Africa and they're not vaccinated. Now, you can do that if you want to. That's fine. I have no control. I'm not doing that. I'm not playing that game. And we were 100% on board. All of a sudden, that goes out the window. I got them vaccinated. And now, is lethargic. And, she's not responding to him. This is long after the flu. Yeah, so now, matter of fact, let me go a step back.
That needs to be addressed.
This was after I recovered from the walking pneumonia. They were going back to school, and I dropped them off with her, and she got sick again. And his mom called me. They were supposed to be with him. It's just, he's still with I. Okay. Well, let me get her. She was really, really looking sick. I said, okay, we took my mother. Immediately, what did we do? That a mother would do. That a responsible parent would do. We took her to urgent care. What did he do? He cried to you on YouTube about how horrible she looked, how he never saw her like this before. He couldn't believe it. What did you do as a parent? You dropped her off at your mama's house for me to pick her up, for me to handle it. Why did you take her to the doctors? Why did you take, if you see your child sick, take her to the emergency room.
It's your child, right?
It's your child. It's not somebody else's child. Be like, I don't want to do
This is not your niece or your
neighbor's child.
Your neighbor or your friend's child.
Even in that instance, if you care about that child, you take them to the emergency room until their parents get there.
Right.
You drop your daughter back at home at your mama house and you go where? Back to everlasting life. Facts. Facts. You understand? Then we fast forward. I take it to the emergency room. They check her out. Come to find out she had tonsillitis. That's what it was. Another common illness that children get in school. But again, my children, they're getting all these illnesses because they've never been around children. They're getting everything. The whole kitchen sink is coming at them. She had tonsillitis. They gave her a little prescription, the little amoxicillin. Take that. They gave her some ibuprofen. Fever went down right away. She's like, oh, I'm good. I'm hungry. Let's get some. She back to normal. Okay, we go get her food. We on the way home. My mom says, wait, what about you? Is he going to be how do you get him? I said, oh, I didn't think about it. Maybe I was going to bring him back to his mom's house. So I called his mom. Do you have to? I was on his way to bring him back now. Okay. We took a diversion and we go back to his mother's house, and I park way down the street because I don't interact with him. I told y'all, I'm way down the street from his mother's house, waiting for him to pull up, drop off. I see him drop him off. I'll watch him go back out the house and pull off. Once he pulls off, I'll go knock on her door to get my son. I'm sitting there, and I see from a distance a little red car pull up across the street from her house. I'm like, I don't know who that is. I see a man get out the car, turn and open the back door of the car, reach in, he pulls out a child. He picks up this child and carries him. I'm like, what the hell? Then I see somebody slew-footing across the street, and I recognize that's Corey, because he got the slew-foot. The same Corey that sat there and had the nerve to call on his show. The show is still up there, I think, right? It's still up. No, that one's taken down. But we can play. We'll play it. Yeah, we'll play it.
Let me ask you. Wait a minute. I want you to, because people hear me say, I want people to hear it from, because when I say it, it's one thing. When my children, I got them after they had gotten vaccinated that next week. When you saw my children, you tell them what happened when you saw them. Because my brother here, he had came up, hadn't seen him in a couple years. He was there. What was my children like that day, bro?
They was zombies. Like, Kania and man, that these wasn't the children I remember. Kania didn't even remember me. And she always talked about Baba Corey. She even wondered was I there, even if I was there or not, where Baba Corey at. Now, she don't even remember who Baba Corey is. I had to walk her through her memory so she could remember me. Like, these was not the kids that I remember. They were sad, they was depressed, Nene kept falling over. They was like zombies. And it was just a sad atmosphere. Like, I never seen you like that broken before. Like, it was just sad. I didn't even feel comfortable leaving. I had to stay. And I actually had something else to do. But my spirit wouldn't let me leave. I gotta stay here with y'all.
Yeah, this brother was there for me, and he just popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and these lanes, I don't even know these guys was for real. You know, I only met them through you when you brought them to my family restaurant. So, I mean, all these actors, abuse, all this stuff, like, this is crazy. This ain't Ayo Kamasi. This ain't the Irritated Genie. This not the brother I know. To be honest.
How is it that this individual can sit here and say, I lived with y'all? You did, Corey? And when you lived with me, how did you do that? Because I didn't have no job. You lived with us while I was paying the mortgage? Yes. So I provided a roof over your head. I helped cook for you and make sure you ate. I cared about you as my brother. I cared about you. Cared about your well-being. Didn't want to see you on the street. And then you turn around and now you're like, I never saw any abuse. I never saw anything. This man is the epitome of manhood. And then you got all these things to say. But you never ever reached out to me. Explain that to me. If I was such a good person, if it was such a great... Here's the thing. And I used to tell I wish I had a Nefertari. I know that because he told me that. You know what else he told me? He told me that he went back and he told... You're not the only one that said that. Che told him that. DeFree, some of y'all know who he is from way, way back, told him that. You got a good woman. Wish we could get a woman like Nefertari. You know, he would tell me, every time they tell me that, I tell him that. You don't know what I know about her.
Wow.
Y'all think she not all that. And I would tell him, why would you tell somebody that about your wife? I've never said anything bad about my husband to anybody. It's the first time any of you are hearing anything about me ever in the 10 years I was with him. Ever say anything negative about him. He's been doing this for a long time. Undermining me, talking negative about me. And I always knew it in my gut. But it wasn't until I started to see and hear it. It wasn't until you said it, sis. Remember you said, it took me a long time, said sis.
Took me a long
What
time
did he
to say
tell
it.
y'all? What, Baba-ILe, you here in the room. What did he tell you when you talked to him after everything was going down back, when everything first happened? What did he say about me?
I gave him the opportunity to confess his part in the whole situation. And instead of him explaining what he did wrong, he said that you were trying to destroy everything he had built.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. So, so there's no accountability. And as far as Corey, that's Corey Guns. Yeah. Heard your interview. He didn't even want you nowhere around. This is the exact reason why when I told you I was going to help you, try to find a spot for you to lay your head. And when you was here in Atlanta and help, try to see if I could find out some places that were hiring, he told me to leave you where you lay. Don't answer your calls. Don't respond to your text messages. This is your guy that you called in for. He didn't care nothing about you.
Yes, because Corey had decided long before Straight Black Pride ever came into existence, Corey had decided he was no longer going to be in Warren Horizon. He had stepped down. And once you leave, you become what? What's the word of the day? Excommunicated. So how dare Corey show up to the Straight Black Pride launching in Atlanta and say, hey, y'all say, hey, I'm Corey, I'm here. I used to be in the organization with Warren Horizon. And you say, oh, bro, okay. And you say, oh, this brother needs some help. You don't give him no help.
That's what you were advised.
You are no longer in the family. Corey, that's what you don't know. You who had to sleep in your damn car in Atlanta. And you had people right here, good people. You want to talk about, I don't know, these lanes. These lanes was going to help you. Get on your feet, get you a job, get you a place to stay. It was told, leave you where you are. Stop and think for a minute before you open your mouth and try to endorse somebody. You better be careful who you endorsing because you have no idea what they're saying about you. How do I know? Because I lived it for 10 years. Never wanting to believe that my husband would be telling people something dirty stuff about me. He did it again and again and again. People who I would say, why does this person act this way? I gotta find out because he's telling them some stuff about me. Why are you doing that? Why are you telling them that? So Corey, you gonna get on here and say, oh, I used to live with them and they used to look up to me and say, Baba Corey. And then when I see them, they didn't even recognize me. Listening audience, stop, pause, and think. The children, when Corey saw them, were 6 and 7 years old. Corey left and dropped out of Warren Horizon in it was 2013 or 14, somewhere around there maybe. Even he said, it was about 2 years ago, I left Warren. They ain't seen you in 2 years at a minimum, which means they would have been, what'd I say, 4 and 5?
4 and 5.
My children don't remember me homeschooling them. They're children. If you don't do something consistently for a while, they're growing and they forget sometimes what happened a long, long time ago. You're a stranger. You ain't been around in 2 years.
They were babies.
They're babies.
Yeah.
Anybody talk about you? So there's no reason for them to know you when they see, I don't know who you are. No, I don't know you. Not because, oh my God, something's wrong with him. They're not grown people. And you know nothing about children. That's why they didn't recognize you. But you hurt me to my heart with that. I'm like, is that Corey? Why would he call up and talk about me like that? Talk about the lanes like they don't know this. Corey, why didn't you pick up the phone if you were so concerned and say, Nev, let me reach out to you, see how you doing?
Yeah, tell me what happened.
Tell me, I'm not even trying to take sides, Nev. That's my brother, you my sister.
Right.
I'm just calling to make sure you're good. Or do you need anything? What kind of African are you? That's what I'm saying. This whole purpose of us doing this show, I want you all to understand. I'm done with this fake African-centered community. I'm not done with my history and my culture and my people. I'm not done with that. I'm done with that fakeness. That fakeness. The fakeness that says, black women, we're going to take care of you and then leave you out there and leave you hanging. So we got a lot more. We have a lot more to cover because we got to talk about the so-called sexual molestation allegations. Let's get into that. We got to talk about the protective order trial, which is a whole other trial we got to go into. A lot of things. So we're going to wrap it up here and we're going to pick back up with some other segments.
What you gonna do? They say you left to fuss and fight and bring a good man down and don't know how to treat him when he takes you on the town. They say you ain't behind him and just don't understand and think that you're a woman but acting like a man. Hey, Lottie mama, what you gonna do now? Get your nerves together, baby, and set the record straight. Set it straight. Let the whole round world know it wasn't you that caused this bitter fate. All these years you loved him, and he knows it's true. 'Cause what you want for your man is what he's wanting to. Hey, guy. Tell me what you gonna do now. When you love a man enough, you're bound to disagree.